Hannah, we both love a good rockumentary, don't we? But isn't it time we gave some recommendations for people who would rather listen to music than binge watch TV shows and films?
Funny you should say that, Ian, because British rapper Fletchy has just released his debut EP, The Colossal Apostle. It includes standout tracks Money Calling, This Is Crazy, and Ooh.
Ooh. And you don't have to just take our word for it. Fletchy has been shouted out by none other than LeBron James, as well as Dwayne Wade and Juicy J. A mix of humour, heartbreak and hard-hitting beats, The Colossal Apostle is available to stream now.
And to find out more about this up-and-coming artist who is building a fan base on both sides of the Atlantic, follow @Fletchy2Fat. That's Fletchy with a Y, number 2, Fat on TikTok and Instagram.
We're going to return to BBC iPlayer for our last selection, which is a 3-part documentary series called Thailand, The Dark Side of Paradise. And here's a clip.
Everyone is coming to Thailand.
It's luxury.
This is a dream, isn't it? I want to swap it for the world.
And escapism.
It's like Benidorm on steroids.
But one wrong move could put you in real trouble real fast.
My brother was murdered. It wasn't an accident.
You're not only free to be a man, you're encouraged to do so.
As long as you've got enough money, you get away with anything here.
I've been in Thailand less than 24 hours and I've nearly got arrested.
Now, lots of people are fans of Zara McDermott. She was on Love Island and she has a huge, huge fan base. And this is a new documentary series which sees her visiting Thailand and kind of exposing the darker side of Thailand. I actually haven't been to Thailand. I'd love to go, and lots of my friends have gone and just rave about it, how brilliant it is. And of course, the scenery is absolutely beautiful. But with every country, there is probably a flip side to that. And this is where Zara is. And I wrote a few notes down when I was watching this because I found it absolutely captivating. And it doesn't matter who presented this. I think Zara does a very good job, I hasten to add. But actually, because she's just so shocked at what she sees, and that comes across very authentically, and she's incredibly genuine in her approach to this. But it really shocked me for a number of different reasons. And one of the ways they described it was Thailand as a hedonistic paradise for Brits abroad. And of course, Ian, we are both in the game of editing. We can edit content, we can edit things. And this will be highly edited and you'll see, what we're shown. But you can't make up this video footage, which, of course, the police in Thailand, despite the film crew having documentation and for paying for a license to film, were escorted out of areas because people were getting really quite cross about it. Somebody got one of the producers, one of the filmers had an ashtray thrown at their head. It got quite nasty in places, and you saw a very, very different approach, but also the sort of people that are flooding there and leaving our country or other countries. So it sort of starts at the beginning with this, as I say, quite hedonistic paradise, lots of music in the streets, a lot of fun. That you see the hostels, which are largely very well kitted out for a very cheap amount of money per night. I think under 40 quid a night. I have your own ensuite. There's a bar, restaurant within the hostels, and then there are people that are paid to look after you, make sure you have a great time. You can see the shots being done. Really, it's sort of Marbs or Ibiza on steroids, I suppose, to a degree. But those places seem to be kind of ebbing into the background now, when places like Thailand offer a cheaper and perhaps in some situations, some instances, a better proposition. But it does it actually when you get there. And Zara McDermott spends a lot of time interviewing various different people. Now, prostitution is illegal there. But there's an area where this is clearly happening. They did have permission to film, as I say, but the police forced them out. They followed them back to their van. It got really quite horrible. They wanted them to delete the footage that they got, and they were threatening to arrest some of the team, which was really quite scary. And you can see Zara, who the camera's on pretty much all the time. Her eyes are like saucers at times. She just can't believe what she's seeing. But there's, I think, as I say, there's lots of things that sort of shocked me about this. I think the darker side that we don't see, but there's much darker than that. We all know some of that perhaps goes on, but there's a darker side in that there are influencers, there are channels set up of people that create content to try and get people to go over there, to give up their lives, and to go to Thailand. And there's a guy, and I think it's the episode 2, there are 3 episodes here, called Mac. He's 30 and he's originally from Staffordshire, and he puts together these virtual guides to Thailand's sex industry. He shows people how to negotiate with the women, top mistakes to avoid in certain bars. And he's somewhat of a celebrity over there. People actually recognise him in the streets. Older men who have watched him and think they know what to do. There are ideas of how to become a real man, a real relationship, a real husband. What does that even mean? It's really quite grim in places. Of course, there's also footage of people that have gone missing in Thailand, which is really, really frightening. She interviews people around that too. There are people going out there for a different life to make money. One of the guys that she interviews is making 10 grand a month. He lives in an incredible apartment, and just is living the dream. There's no way that he could do that in this country, and absolutely loves his life over there. But what does the other side look like? They can walk into any bar anytime, the police, and ask for a drugs test. You need to give urine. It feels corrupt in places of this, the way it's kind of portrayed. And it's moody music, as I say, it's edited, we know that, but it certainly gives you a real insight into paradise, because I certainly would love to go to Thailand, and the backdrop is absolutely beautiful. But the sex tourism is really probably what this massively focuses on, and also the dreams of Brits going out there, like one couple who are living in a tiny sort of bedsit place, 15 floors up, I think they are, just desperate to make their money and stay there. They just don't want to go back. Someone else who was I think he chefed for 3 months or 5 months, something like that, to make the money to be able to go and do a trip there. He's interviewed and he talks about he just paid for sex. He paid for it twice. He said to the woman, "I'm not paying you again." But then she kept coming back, so you don't need to pay me. But he said it could be a scam. He says there are situations where women will do that, but then you're caught up and then you go home and you have to send money. It's kind of eye-opening. And Zara does a really good job with this. I think it's massively, massively interesting to a lot of people.
I found it fascinating, I must say. And I was impressed by Zara McDermott, who I guess she's kind of going down the Stacey Dooley route a bit. And she's just got, as you say, she's just got a very authentic reaction to everything she comes across. And she's just able to, like, she hangs out with these youngsters who are backpackers, and hits the bars with them. And they're very relaxed in her company because she's just like one of them, So I think she does a good job. I am from the days when you didn't have a gap year, and the most you would do maybe was a little interrail trip to Europe. But of course, people are flooding to places like Thailand, Vietnam, aren't they? So I was interested to find out more, and I've got to say, Bangkok, certainly the tourist areas, it looks pretty grim. It's pretty awful, and she hears stories about the sex industry, for instance, that British fathers bringing their sons over and paying for them to have sex with a prostitute. So that, I mean, it's is that really? It's just grim. Also, what's quite interesting is the legal situation, particularly in Bangkok. I mean, I know someone who was over there, was smoking something or other. The landlady reported him to the police, and then of course you have to pay a fine, and if you want to get out quicker you pay a bigger fine, but if you haven't got the money, bad luck. So you feel like there's a lot of corruption in terms of basically getting money out of tourists. And you see the police mob-handed descending on a bar, and they're allowed to force everyone there to have to take a urine test to find out if they've taken drugs. So there's all these things that are illegal but tolerated. The people who are doing, well, you know, the clubs with sex workers in them, the police are okay with that, but they're targeting the tourists who are taking the drugs or, you know, paying the sex workers. It's as Zara explains, it's kind of it's a weird situation. It's a kind of blurred line, really. But yeah, I look forward to perhaps seeing some of the more picturesque parts of Thailand as well, which she will do, and she'll be I think she's going to a spiritual retreat as well. She's going to go to a full moon party. I mean, you know, it's just, there's a lot of young people partying a lot, but of course there are dangers as well. Drink spiking, you know, I think there's a young lad who got stabbed in the throat with a broken bottle, and yeah, cases of people going missing, as you say. So for someone like me who's never really done the big trip to the Far East, this was really good.